Good morning, church. A quick thought from today's one-year Bible reading, Old Testament, Ezekiel chapter 14. God tells Ezekiel if he was bringing 4 judgments on the people back in Israel, and Daniel, Job, and Noah were present, their righteousness, the righteousness of Daniel, Job, and Noah, would only count for themselves. They didn't have any extra righteousness to impute to those Israelites who were coming under the judgment of God. Well, that may be self-evident, but it also points to one of the features of Christian salvation, and that is that we are saved through the righteousness of Jesus Christ, because Jesus Christ, unlike Daniel, Job, and Noah, did have extra righteousness available to him to impute to those who are being judged by God. So there are 2 ways to be righteous in God's eyes. Way number 1 is to never break God's law in the first place, obviously. If you never sin, which is breaking God's law, then you are right or righteous in God's eyes. And this may be what God was referring to when he talks about the righteousness of Noah, Job, and Daniel. Not that they were perfectly sinless, but God speaks of their righteousness. That would be the kind of righteousness that he's referring to. Jesus was righteous in that way. We know that he lived a perfect life and he never sinned. Hebrews chapter 7 in today's one-year Bible reading tells us that. He was perfect. He didn't have to offer any sacrifices for his own sins like the Jewish priests did. But Jesus was also righteous in a second way. The other way to be right before God is, having sinned, pay the penalty for that sin. If you do the crime, do the time. And then you are once again made right in the eyes of the law. The problem is that the penalty for breaking God's law was eternal punishment in hell. And we who have broken God's law, we don't want to do that. We'd rather avoid that. But here's the thing. Jesus was not only righteous by never having broken God's law, he sacrificed himself. He paid the penalty for breaking God's law, even though he had not broken God's law. So that means he is righteous in 2 ways, and he only needs one for himself. He's not Daniel, Job, or Noah. He's Jesus. He has personal righteousness, and then he has an extra degree of righteousness, penalty-paid righteousness. And it is that which he imputes to us or gives us credit for. That's how we're saved. We're saved by the righteousness of Christ, as if we had already gone to hell and paid the penalty for our sin. He did that for us. We get credit for that righteousness. My righteous friends, God loves you, and so do I.